Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Tell Me Everything Frog Girl Friday series. I am your host, Danielle Spinelli, and today I'm super excited because we are going to be covering, actually, this entire month of September, we are going to be covering cluster theft. What does that mean? BOL manipulations. What is it? Today's episode, we're going to be going over that. Want to real quick summarize what we learned in August. If you have not checked out the other episodes, I highly suggest starting in really from the top. But if you do not start from the top, start with the one with Ben Wilkins from the NMFTA. Hopefully, I'm saying all my initials right. But we go over how cybercrime has really shifted in cybersecurity, how important that is, and how really most of fraud starts with cybersecurity, but that's kind of a big part of it. So we met with Ben, we met with Rolando, we met with Nate Johnson, all talking about cybersecurity. So if you missed any of those, very important to know exactly what to look for and how to keep your own business safe, because that's kind of the biggest thing, whether you're a carrier or a broker or a shipper, they're all posing as everybody and trying to get into your networks. A lot of different activities on that front. So stay safe, everyone. If you missed that, be sure to check out those previous episodes. Now, this month, the month of September, we're going to be going over cluster theft, BOL manipulation, the number one financial heavy hitters right now with theft. Basically, you're getting hit in small increments, and they're not, a lot of times the receivers are not catching up on this for a long time. The carriers look great. I don't know if they're just going rogue. They're all meeting up at a truck stop and all hanging out, and that's how they're finding out about these things. Kind of break that all down. We'll have some guests come on talking about that. But today's episode, I want to break down what is cluster theft. What is BOL manipulation? If you have not been hit, congratulations. You have saved yourself a lot. Hopefully you do not get hit, but you need to know the tools on what to look for, what to do when it does happen, kind of all those different things. So let's first start off with what is it? Right? So cluster theft, the definition, I'll read that from online even, is a freight scam where criminals repeatedly steal a small portion of loads over time, building trust to gain access to more valuable goods. Some crazy part about this is that it's going to be a carrier that looks totally great. This is happening on all platforms, not to freak everybody out, but nobody has a secret recipe for this because honestly, the carriers look great. They operate great. And I've even heard a story where it was a carrier that they had dinner with. They know this guy, and it just so happened that the guy decided to go rogue and shut down his business. And prior to going rogue and being bad, he had, I guess, some insight from whoever that this was a thing, decided to take a stab at it, made X amount of dollars. I'm assuming, however much he needed, I guess, to retire. And then by the time he actually got caught with it, because the broker gave him a heads up, hey, we have some shortages. Can you look into this? He had the heads up. He left the US, went to a different country, and even answered the phone and was like, yeah, I'm in blah, blah country. Good luck coming after me. So millions of dollars were stolen. A lot of times they're targeting electronics, but because there is some pallet tracking going on and those are, can be identified by serial numbers, they're also attacking a bunch of other type of commodity. Next week, we will have Jerry on. If you do not know who he is on that big CNBC about fraud. Really great guy. He knows tons of stuff about the industry. So he's coming on next week to talk about his experience with this. So Jerry, the theft that he had was off of Kraft mac and cheese. So, it's not just electronics. It's all sorts of different freight. Cluster theft is where they target, it's high volume. So usually they're doing multiple shipments, learning the lanes. That's kind of the keyest thing. Like I said, they look squeaky clean. Most of the time that I've seen the carriers, they look squeaky clean. There's very little indication that something happened. Sometimes it's where the carrier looks squeaky clean. They sell their MC. That MC they sit on for X amount of time. Then they have a legitimate driver pick up loads. They pick up loads. They deliver loads. They do everything perfect. What they're doing at that point is learning key intel. They're wanting to know on the shipper side, how strict are the dock workers? How easy it is for them to come in and get the freight? Do they check IDs? Do they actually look at their equipment? Are they communicating back to the receiver like electronic BOL? Is it paper BOLs? Is it easy for them to manipulate? How are the seals on the truck? Do they have pallet tracking? So many different factors that they're looking for on the shipping end. And then once they get to the receiver, same type of thing. They're trying to figure out as much intel as they can. How often do they do inventory? How in depth do they check things? Are they double checking bills? Are they, marking shortages? Do they actually go through each pallet count? Do they verify? What exactly is their whole process? Those shippers or receivers who do not have a great process in place, especially that for those high value loads, they have been targeting and really exploiting. I know Best Buy was one that really got hit by multiple different companies out there. Large brokerages were hit, and they weren't doing inventory for like 6 months to a year. So by the time they noticed, basically they were ordering more things, and they're like, hey, where's our stuff that we ordered? Our inventory shows we should be here based on the orders that we placed, but all we have in our facility is X. And that's whenever they found out that they've been hit. They reached out to a bunch of their different customer brokers that were part of it, back charging them for a bunch of things. And honestly, what's crazy is who knows if it was strictly with the shipment or if it was at the warehouse things were stolen. Like, who knows who's really involved with everything. Like, I kind of feel like some insider stuff is happening, but that's harder to prove. But when I was talking about California Highway Patrol, they were kind of thinking that it's possibly the same type of thing. If you did not catch that webinar that I did with California Highway Patrol, they'll be with me at the Broker Carrier Summit there in October in Orlando, going over the same thing that we went over in that webinar that's on the My Care Portal website. But really, they break this whole thing down. And then I also did a different webinar with Andrew from Circle Logistics, Scott Cornell from Travelers, and myself. There was somebody else on there as well. Sorry. I'll link both of those things in there because it kind of really teaches more about this than what I'll be going through on our podcast. So the more you know, the better you can protect yourself. Anyways, so that's kind of the setting the stage. What's going on? How is this even happening? Let me share my screen next and kind of show you what exactly those bills look like, because I think it's really important to understand what to look for. So let me share my screen. If you're watching this on Apple Podcasts, I would almost hop back over to YouTube or Spotify and watch the actual video just so that you can see that. Let's pull up a BOL. Dun, 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 dun. Let's dissect this. Now, this is from that webinar that I did with California Highway Patrol. So you'll see some other stuff too, but I'll show you some of the pictures that they sent me of the actual trailers and kind of things to look for if you are a dock worker, what to check. All right, so if you look at this bill, this is a correct bill. You'll notice it is coming from Samsung, going to a Sam's Club, then also, or it's actually the Sam's Distribution Center. The quantity is 55. Also notice that the weight is 7,000 pounds. So you can kind of see what it was. This is the correct one. Now, if I flop over to the altered one, this is where you really notice the difference. And this is after it's been signed. You can tell that the signature does not show any type of shortages. They did not catch this because they're simply just looking at this piece of paper. So something that they're doing is you'll notice it's 15 instead of 55. So they're taking one of those numbers and completely just changing that one because it's easier to change a tiny bit of the BOL than like an entire thing. So they changed that 5 to a 1. I've seen it even where instead of it being like a 55, they would just take the 5 off completely and it would only deliver 5 pieces. So they stole 40 cartons. It was actually TVs. So they stole 40 of them, listed that on the BOLs. When they got to the receiver, basically they're looking at that and saying, oh yeah, there's 15 in the truck. Cool. Awesome. Signed it off. No shortages, overages. We're good to go, right? Clean bill of lading. The carrier sent this to the broker. They got paid out normal. Shipper even paid the broker normal. Nobody caught anything until inventory was done. So like I said, this can be done for a long period of time, depending on how often they check the inventory. So because of that, that's where like the huge financial thing happens. Like, let's say this carrier did, I don't know, I know one that they did 30 loads. They sell 40 quantities of TVs, over 30 loads. That adds up a lot. And then it's like, how long does this go on? That carrier is going to keep running until they get caught. So what do we look for? If you're a dock worker or even in your process, so some things that you'll see is the trailer. The trailer has the bolts and everything on the outside, not like a normal trailer door. Here's another example. Everything's on the outside. Nothing's like a normal trailer door. It is where they can easily pull off that entire door frame, not break any seals or anything, grab whatever they want to off of there and go. Here's another example where they actually cut everything or they've changed the seal and made some updates to it. So there's tons of things that you can do. Like if you look at trailer tampering indications, like this is kind of what we're seeing, grind marks around padlock areas, signs of forced padlock removals. So, like the lock may appear intact, but doors have been compromised, kind of like I just talked about. Tampered seals, they'll see that a lot. If it's like a metal type of seal, they'll twist it back or re-crimp it back. Plastic seals, will super glue. You can look for like the white residue on there. Trailer hinge bolts being on the outside, just like I showed you. So if you're noticing the doors are installed like backwards or they're like notched on the backwards, it enables really easy removal without breaking actual seals and locks. And then any type of missing or disabled GPS trailers. Look for cut wires, unplugged devices like ELD devices, stuff like that. Something indicating something can happen. So those are some key things to kind of look for. So the BOL, I kind of got to think about it as like the birth certificate, right? So that's why having an EBOL is honestly key. I do know of some people that they are actually charging like additional money to their shippers, but they're taking all that care away from them. Like maybe on the shipment, they add, let's say $5 a load. I have no idea how much it costs. $5 a load to provide EBOLs for both places. They handle all of that for them. They're handling all that product or project management on the EBOL. Shipper, receiver, they do all the communication, really making that easier for them. And those people are having the best success with this, I know. So look into those EBOL. I'm hoping to get somebody on our podcast to talk about that. So at the end of the day, really wanting to be careful for any type of these indications. And like I said, you may have already paid the carrier. So you not only do you have to pay for this claim, but you've already paid the carrier because they were great. Great communication, great tracking, all the great things. Typically, they run perfect. Not to scare everybody and all your good carriers, but here are some red flags that you can do to look for if a carrier is accepting multiple high-value loads in a very short window. Maybe they're running one or two here and there. They then increase their volume a ton. That would be a big indicator of like they love the shipment and they're a great carrier, who knows, or they're doing something malicious. If you're noticing any type of paperwork with mismatched fonts or logos, maybe that one or like the one part of it's kind of off skewed the quantity. That's something to look for. Like I said, kind of like the 5 is 1.5, but it's off skewed. It's not like directly in the middle. They're just simply deleting that one section of it. If the driver is refusing to share location updates, refusing to do a video call, they're refusing to send you pictures of the freight. I mean, that to me is a big red indicator as well. So cluster theft, BOL manipulations, two sides, same coin. It's basically speed, deception. They're really hitting you with high cost claims. So it's really important to get to know, even if you're hauling high value shipments, to really make sure that your documentation, your contracts with these shippers have it in there that they have to do inventory X amount of time. They cannot charge you a claim for X amount of time afterwards. Keep you guys as safe out there as well. Talk to your shippers as well on those key indicators. If you guys need those pictures sent out, let me know. I can send those to you. Those are great little tips. Just go ahead and send your shippers like, hey, this is the new fraud trend. Please teach your dock workers on something to look for. If you have ever experienced cluster thefts or BOL manipulation, I'd love to hear your story. Hit me up on LinkedIn, share all the details. If you have any insights on what you did to protect yourself, definitely let me know that as well. We kind of got to all stick together on this. So catch you guys next Friday for another episode of Frog Girl Friday. Bye.